All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to unpack a fascinating story that starts with a problem pretty much every business has: super messy data. But it ends with one of the biggest questions we're all facing about the future of work. We're going from a grocery store's back room right into the heart of human-AI collaboration.
So, it all starts with this quote, which is just painfully relatable, right? Excel spaghetti. You know exactly what that means. Just picture a small, successful grocery chain. They're growing like crazy, but their entire operation is just a tangled mess of disconnected spreadsheets.
And this really gets to the core of it. The issue isn't just about having disorganized files, it's a massive strategic problem. When your data is pure chaos, you can't make smart calls on what to stock, which promotions to run, or where to expand. You are, for all intents and purposes, flying completely blind.
So how in the world do you fix a problem like that? Well, this project lays out a really clear journey. But, and this is the important part, the real goal here is way bigger than just cleaning up a few spreadsheets.
Okay, so step one is just admitting you have a problem. And wow, did they have a problem. The data they were working with was just fundamentally broken. You had duplicated headers, date formats were all over the map, and even product names would change from one file to another. You can't predict sales or run a business when you can't even trust your own numbers.
To sort through all this, the project lays out this four-part path. It's a really logical flow designed to take the business from that data chaos all the way to having a real, measurable impact.
This slide just lays out that whole evolution perfectly. First, you have to untangle all that spaghetti into a clean, organized database. That's your schema. Then, you have to fix all the errors to get to data integrity so you can actually trust it. After that, you start looking for the signal in the noise. And finally, you use that signal to build a real strategy based on how your shoppers behave.
And each of these steps absolutely has to build on the one before it. You can't skip ahead. It's a journey that takes you from basic data cleanup all the way to some pretty advanced stuff, like forecasting demand and modeling customer loyalty. You simply can't do step 4 if you haven't nailed step 1. It's all about building that solid foundation.
But here's the twist. This whole grocery store project, it's actually just the setup for something way, way bigger. This is where we start to see the project's true purpose.
So you have to ask, is this really just about building a better database for one company? Nope, not even close. The ambition here goes so far beyond helping one business get organized. This is where things get really cool. And here's the big reveal. The project isn't really a consulting job. It's a living research lab. The whole thing was designed from the ground up to study one of the most critical questions in tech today. How do humans and AI actually work together to solve real, complex problems?
And this lab isn't just, watching people write code. It's observing the entire process. How do teams get better as their data improves? How do our jobs and our productivity change when an AI is part of the team? And most importantly, how do we make sure all this work is reproducible, transparent, and ethical?
So the answer to those questions lies right at the core of this project, a multi-year roadmap designed to actually map out what this partnership between people and AI looks like in the real world.
Yeah, this whole thing is structured over 5 years, specifically to track how this relationship evolves. It kicks off, which is building the foundation. Then it dives deep into collaboration, actually comparing what humans can do alone versus what humans and AI can do together. And finally, it looks at what happens when the AI starts taking the lead, with humans acting as the supervisors.
And to really wrap their heads around this evolution, the researchers came up with 3 distinct roles that an AI can play when it becomes a true member of the team.
It starts with the AI as a tutor. Think of it as a guide, giving you feedback and explanations while you, the human, are still learning and making the final decisions. Then, it steps up to become an AI coder. Now it's a real creative partner, generating code and models, while the human's job is to validate the logic and make sure it's being used ethically. And finally, it becomes an AI agent, which can run complex tasks all on its own, based on goals set by a human who's now in the role of an auditor and supervisor.
So 3 phases, 3 totally different styles of teamwork, and each one of these maps directly onto that research roadmap we just saw.
And this is where it all clicks together. Each phase of that 5-year research plan is built to explore one of these collaboration modes. Phase 1, Foundations, is all about the AI tutor. Phase 2, Collaboration, digs into the AI coder. And Phase 3, Autonomy, is all about that AI agent. It's basically a practical map for the future of how we're all going to work.
And that is exactly why this whole project is so powerful.
It takes a simple, relatable problem at a grocery store and uses it to build a framework for thinking about the future of data science and teamwork in pretty much any industry you can think of. I think this quote just perfectly captures the soul of the entire project. This isn't some race to automate jobs away. It's about finding a shared understanding. The real goal is figuring out how we humans can work with AI to create better, more reliable, and more ethical insights. It's about partnership, not replacement.
Which leaves us with this massive question. As AI goes from being just a tool to a tutor, and then a coder, and maybe even an agent, what does that make us? What's our role in all of this? This research suggests that our most valuable skills are going to be things like creativity, critical thinking, ethical judgment, and just the wisdom to provide responsible oversight. It's a future where we're not just users of technology, but its essential partners.